I'm happy to let Harris County try that out and let us learn from their experience.
Fair enough.
If they're gonna, if they want to devote the resources to that, I'm happy to watch and see how that plays out and learn from them.
What about the point of view of an appellate attorney? How would that inform a DA's offices?
Right. Well, for one thing, an appellate prosecutor, a lot of times when we're talking to the public, we talk about the DA's office being kind of a sales and warranty division, and that the trial prosecutors are the sales. If they get a conviction, then it becomes the warranty's job to make sure the conviction holds up. So as an appellate prosecutor, you have experience going all the way back to the beginning of a police investigation and seeing how that played out in terms of what the law requires. And if something was not done according to what the law requires, how much harm did it cause? And then when that case gets up into trial, you have the experience of looking at both sides of how that trial played out. And again, you see what strategies work, what strategies don't work. And there's all kinds of strategies that are made on the fly in trial that the trial prosecutors and defense attorneys have to make. And they're never perfect. But the benefit is that you have an overview of how that system played out, and you see what went wrong. A lot of times as prosecutors, when we believe that a person is guilty and we go to trial, we might not realize that there are some things going on in trial that could cause problems in an appellate court down the road. And so we might not realize that we need to take a step back and protect these proceedings according to the law. And although we might be able to win this case like that, it might take a little more work to get that guilty verdict a different way, but in a way that will be held up in an appellate court. And as an appellate prosecutor, that I have that advantage of knowing that and of seeing those cases go wrong. We've had a fair number of them up in Harris County that turned out that way. We have a fair number of retrials going on right now. Also, as an appellate prosecutor, you have the benefit of after the fact when somebody wants to come back and change their testimony, like in habeas corpus proceedings. You know that a lot of times there are forces outside of a case that are in play that are influencing a witness's decision and how that could come later and harm the case. And again, that will help you equip trial prosecutors to be on the lookout for problems, which makes things more efficient down the road and makes hopefully for less retrials and hopefully for less tax resources having been spent.
How many people do you manage now?
I don't manage anyone directly. I have a team of interns that I work with. But in the appellate division of the DA's office, and specifically my division, which is habeas, we don't have a lot of chiefs. So I'm at a chief salary level up there, but my title is assistant district attorney. For the last 10 years, we've had 3 interns, and so I've been responsible for every year we get new ones come in, so I've been responsible for training them and teaching them not only about the law, but what it means to be a good prosecutor, what it means to use good discretion, and to be an ethical but aggressive in terms of what you do. So I've had a lot of experience in dealing with young lawyers and kind of mentoring them and hopefully shaping their vision of what it means to be a good prosecutor. I've taught, guest lectured in 2 law schools on issues of post-conviction work in domestic violence. And then, before law school, I worked my way through undergrad and law school. And so I worked a lot for law firms. And I was an assistant, I was office manager actually of a small insurance defense firm up in Dallas. So just in terms of dealing with staff and things like that. I'm on the board of 3 nonprofit organizations here in the county, and president of one of those boards for the last 2 years. So I've got a lot of experience just in dealing with organizational issues and budget issues and personnel issues that come up within those organizations.
A lot has come up in the last couple of years with controversies in small communities mainly. Bayou Vista, Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
It seems at every turn there's a city council member or resident who's going to the DA's office because they're just fully convinced
Right.
that something criminal has gone on, to the point that citizen attorney would even say it's almost as if he needs to create a small town complaints department.
Well-
Stuff that's coming in there. How would you deal, because a lot of these things, they're obviously on their face, they're not criminal matters.
Right.
There's something that should go to the AG or the Secretary of State's office. So
Right.
how would you handle that? Because there's some politics involved there when you're dealing with
There is.
those small, how would you handle, because there's been an inordinate number of folks coming in the DA's office with this stuff.
And I've heard from a lot of those folks. The frustration they have had overwhelmingly is a lack of response. And a lot of times, they don't care so much if the answer is yes or no in terms of, are you going to do anything about this? But just give us an answer. Take a position on this issue. And I think that's a responsibility that the elected DA has to take seriously. And when those come in, you know, if you need time to investigate, which of course you are going to need, you do it. And you take that time, you tell the folks, look, I need some time to figure out what's going on, I'll get an answer to you. And then you're responsive to it. There's lots of small town politics, I know that. But I think public servants have to be treated just as equally and sometimes harshly as a private person would be if they committed an offense. Regardless of which party they are, regardless of where they are in city government or county government, anything like that. It's part of the job. Up at the Harris County DA's office, we have a whole division that deals with this kind of stuff. Now, again, I've been criticized for the fact that having worked in such a large office, I just don't know what it's like down here in Galveston. Well, I do. It doesn't mean that I'm expecting to come down here and create this division and this division and this division. I know that we have limited resources. But I also know that you need someone in any size office who is trained to deal with those issues and has, if not, doesn't have training, that you go out and get that training so that you've got a prosecutor who is at least in touch with a network of other experienced prosecutors dealing with public integrity issues. So that when they get a complaint, you've got someone who can look into that and who's got a network of other prosecutors across the state who've dealt with it before.